My name is Edgar Chavarria, or Edgar, and I'm here to talk a little bit about the experience and the impacts that Intercambio has had on my life in a rather interesting way. So I'm not a former student. The way that Intercambio impacted my life was in an indirect way, but it was so impactful. I have two parents who immigrated from Mexico 26 years ago, or even more than that. And they came to Boulder, Colorado, not speaking a single word of English. And so when I was a child, they raised me in Spanish with their traditions, their language. I grew up in one language, and that was Spanish. And so despite that reality we were living in, we had this challenge. My mom and my dad wanted one thing to come true, and that was for me to go to college one day, to get an education, improve what our life had been before, and they knew they couldn't do it without English. They couldn't be present at parent-teacher conferences without English, at doctor's appointments without English. And realistically, I couldn't do it by myself. I needed some help, and mom and dad sometimes needed some help from me. And then they realized we need to step up for our child, be an example. And I'm so thankful that they were able to take the challenge. One day, they met two guys, Sean and Lee. And at that point, Intercambio was just a thought that they were creating, a reality. And the next thing you know, it's my dad's taking English classes. And they're in the dining room table every Friday or every Thursday, and they're with a teacher. Next thing you know, my mom is taking the same class my dad is taking, and they're both learning English together. Meanwhile, I'm babysitting, so my two younger sisters are with me. We're playing cars and dolls, anything to keep them entertained so mom and dad can learn English. And later on, they became much more competent in English. They could go to school. They were involved in the PTA. They were at every single parent-teacher conference. They were there when I needed them to be there. And none of this could have happened without Intercambio. They needed those skills, and really, I needed them to have those skills to grow up. And Intercambio gave them those skills. And so later on, I grew up. It was time for high school, and I went to Dawson School in Lafayette, not far from here, with a scholarship I got. Thanks because of their support and them seeking help. And 4 years go by, and I'm a senior in high school. And so college application season comes around. My mom and dad are working together to figure out the FAFSA. I don't know if any of you have kids going to college, but that's a monster. And, dealing with that with two parents who had never heard of college was a big challenge. But, no one would have guessed that later on I'd be going to the University of San Diego. And then in 2020, the pandemic hit. I got sent home. And so I got sent home to my bedroom where I took the rest of my last semester of college classes. If you've ever had any technical difficulties typing in a college senior seminar for your thesis, oh my God, it was horrible. But that didn't stop me. It was still a dream come true. My parents had never, ever even dreamed of going to college, and this was becoming a reality. And so in May of 2020, I stood up in my living room and I graduated. It was surreal. My parents were so happy. They were happier than me. It was like unbelievable. None of this, where I am today, would be possible without Intercambio. Today, I work at the courthouse just in Boulder, off of 6th and Canyon, where I help parties who don't have legal representation manage the legal process. But most importantly, I get to be a board member at Intercambio. And not only that, I am so honored to be on the equity committee there, so we can ensure the mission of Intercambio.